Okay.
More and more banks are admitting that they have been so swamped with foreclosed properties that they have not been reading the documents before signing them. People have been forced from their homes without the proper review. Unbelievable. What does all this mean for the homeowners out there? Well, the NoBullAgent Ken Kaplan joins us now. Ken, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, we were talking during the commercial. Probably, if we get to that, we'll get to that. But explain what was going on here, because depending on the article that I've read, there was one guy in particular, he was signing off on 10,000 foreclosures in a month and not even reading the paperwork, which adds fuel to the fire. People are already mad about all these foreclosures. Explain what in the world is going on.
Well, essentially, what they were saying is they were overwhelmed with the paperwork. They didn't have enough people to man it, and the bottom line is somebody was essentially just signing everything. And part of what's gone on in this foreclosure market is the fact that we've had so much inundation of inventory on foreclosures that these banks didn't know how to deal with it, as well as trying to deal with the short sales and to deal with all of the turmoil with the loan modifications. And they've gotten all this TARP money, and they're trying to figure out how to deal with that.
It's just disheartening. Is there a better word? It's disheartening that the people that you assume, because let's be honest, a lot of home buyers out there, when you get a stack of 1,000 pages signing, a lot of us sign things that, and we don't read them, but we expect that the banks, the lenders, all the people that supposedly know what they're doing are going through this with a fine-tooth comb, and apparently they were not.
They were acting on their best behalf, and the bottom line, it is a buyer beware type of issue. But the bottom line is, yes, we do feel that the banks should be at least treating us fairly, and most customers feel that way. The challenge is now, okay, do you say, well, guess what? You know what, you didn't know what the interest rate was, or you weren't aware of it, and you didn't realize that it was going to reset. Right. So you know what, you're out of luck. The bottom line is this, that you should know what interest rate you have, when your interest rate is going to reset, right, what type of loan you have, and be educated to that.
Explain to folks out there who are thoroughly confused by this, why Bank of America decided to stop foreclosures, no selling and no foreclosing. Why did they do that, and why in a couple of weeks they decided we're going to do it again?
Sure.
What was their motivation behind that?
Well, I think that Bank of America's motivation, and a few of the other banks that said, hey, we're going to halt foreclosures, was specifically to deal with the foreclosures that were A, in process, and B, that had been processed, to make sure that their processes were being implemented correctly, that they hadn't made any mistakes previous to that. That things were going to move forward, and just because they had halted foreclosures didn't mean that they were going to stop. It just meant that they wanted to review the process to make sure that it was correct. And yesterday, they actually came out and said, guess what? We're resuming foreclosures. We're back.
So are we to assume that in the 2-3 weeks that they announced this, oh, we fixed the problem, now we know what we're doing?
And it's not absolutely to say that there was a problem. They just wanted to review the process so they knew that they weren't doing anything that was incorrect. They wanted to make sure they were on the correct path. And that's not to back up the banks or to back up the consumer. It's just they want to just make sure everything was in order.
So what's the impact of all this? What is this going to do to the inventory? What is this going to do to the home buyer or the people who are maybe on the brink of foreclosure? How does this impact us at home?
Unfortunately, for the people who are already in the proceedings of foreclosure, unless they can get some sort of stay or moratorium from their bank, and the loan modification process is absolutely brutal, and I would say just a fraction of the people who apply for loan modifications are getting them these days. It's going to foreclose on that property, and they're going to lose that house, unfortunately, which means that there's going to be that inventory coming into the market.
Yeah, and we were looking up at that information. Can we put that information back on the screen there? Because we know from January to September, the notice of default was a 38% decrease between 2009 and 2010. Foreclosure, 7% decrease. But then the comparison between the notice of default and foreclosures, explain how that worked out here for us in San Diego.
Well, last year, based on the same time frame, we're looking at, there were over 30,000 notice of defaults, and of those, 38% of those they actually foreclosed upon. Now we've got less notice of defaults, but we've got percentage-wise over 55% of those are now actually foreclosing. So though we've got less of an inventory of those notice of defaults, we're actually seeing a larger percentage of those actually being foreclosed upon. Now, hopefully that means that the 3-year notes that had reset, that these people are being foreclosed upon has already pushed through, and now what we're seeing is the 5-year notes that were the adjustable rate mortgages that those people are defaulting on, and those will be pushing through as well.
And I know we're trying to clarify this, and we know it's confusing. We know it's confusing, but this is just kind of the wild, wild west right now with lending and the wild, wild west with the real estate market. So we're kind of trying to find our way through it. Ken Kaplan, thank you for coming on and maybe we should have you back and continue this process. We could
My
talk
pleasure. Come
for
back
hours. Ken, thank you. More information, by the way, fox5sandiego.com. Click the scene on tab. All right, Chrissy, over to you.
All right, thanks, guys.